Only one time in the Marvin Lewis era have the Bengals beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers at Paul Brown Stadium. The Terrible Towels prevailed again today, 24-17. Richard Skinner, Caleb Miller, and Doug Pelfrey. For a while, it looked like the Bengals were going to have more of that second half magic, but it didn't happen today against one of the elite teams in the AFC.
Pittsburgh is one of those teams that finds a way to win. There's no question about that. Caleb hates that saying, by the way. But they do, and they made a couple plays. One was a lucky bounce on the first of the two interceptions that Dalton threw, and the other one is arguably a wide receiver's fault or a great play or a combination of both by the Steelers secondary. I mean, they're a good football team, and Ben Roethlisberger's having a great year, and he got loose early in the football game and really made the Bengals pay for it.
The Bengals lost a couple of key pieces today. It sounds like one in Leon Hall is going to be out for potentially a long time. A.J. Green, we heard Marvin Lewis say, will be just fine. If you're a defensive player, you're driving home, you're kind of going through the game in your mind, what do you wish you had back?
In this game, there's a couple plays you wish you had back. I mean, that first touchdown play in particular, it was a blitz called. You got two guys coming free off the edge to contain, or at least contain, hopefully sack Roethlisberger, and neither one comes home, and it scores a touchdown. Eventually is the difference in the whole game. I mean, those guys who blitz off the edge, they know what happened. They're sick about what happened because they came scot-free. Those are the kind of plays you really want back. The things like what happened with Heath Miller, the lucky plays where he bounced off his hand and you get a pick and things like that. Not so much. The Dalton interceptions at the end, those are kind of, those weren't necessarily his fault directly. Those are not the things you think about so much as the direct atrocities that have happened.
Atrocities?
That's atrocity.
They teach that at Arkansas?
I like it, man. That's big words for an Arkansas boy.
Dalton had those two critical interceptions down the stretch that you mentioned, but in terms of getting this team in the right sets, making the right reads, with pressure coming, pass the test again?
I think so. I heard a lot of stuff all week about it was going to be Dick LeBeau against the rookie quarterback Dalton, and I thought he held his own. I thought he did a good job. I thought he made good calls. He made good checks. When he got some pressure, he threw it out of bounds. So I thought everything he did today was very positive. Even the picks are questionable, if they were his fault or not. And he always, you saw him in the post-game interviews earlier that he doesn't throw his players under the bus. So the guy's a professional all the way around.
That touchdown to Gresham, too, in the corner. It was a good route. Solid. It was a perfect throw. That was nice.
With pressure coming in at his feet.
Right.
Talk to me a little bit just about, the defense in general. I caught up with Mike Zimmer a couple of days ago. He said the one thing that's keeping this defense from becoming a dominant defense, long drives and explosive plays. Losing Leon Hall has got to be a dagger because there's vulnerability in the back end.
And they seem to, for whatever reason, he seems to do a great job adjusting. I mean, let's not forget last week against Tennessee, that first half, Tennessee looked a lot like Pittsburgh did in this game. They did anything they wanted to do offensively, especially throwing the football. Second half, not so much. Same thing today. Second half, Pittsburgh really didn't do a whole lot offensively. Ben was on pace for about a 350-yard game at halftime and probably got to about 250 if I remember rightly. So they seem to make really good adjustments. But the big plays can be a huge thing in this league. I mean, it's hard to drive the ball 80 yards on good defenses in this league, and the Bengals defense is good. But if you give up some explosive plays, and they do, you're in big trouble. And without Leon Hall, that factor goes up significantly if he can't play much the rest of the year.
Marvin Lewis said if there's any doubt whether this team could play against an elite team in the AFC North, it was pretty much wiped away today, and it was wiped away with a 100-yard rushing performance and with the emergence of Andrew Hawkins. Let's start with the rushing game on the ground. It looks like this platoon of Benson and Scott is paying dividends down because the fourth quarter runs are productive.
Right, yeah, I was definitely proud of what they did on offense with running the ball. I mean, on the Pittsburgh's defense, they have a few guys banged up here and there, but they ran the ball very well. With the end of rounds they did with Hawkins is definitely a dynamic player. I hope to see him get even more touches. He has a better potential to do things after the catch than any other receiver they have out there. And so I like to see him getting the ball. I like to see the change up with Scott and Benson. It's great. It worked today. They both had solid runs all day long. I hope they continue with that.
Benson had 57 yards. Bernard Scott had 38 on the ground for Marvin Lewis. What are your thoughts on Hawkins? Just in terms of the dimension he gives the offense, because it seems like he's an instant spark plug.
Well, I think we saw earlier today in Brad's interview with him. I mean, he's about this tall. So I mean, the guy is he's a little water bug, and it's actually fun to have that kind of dimension. The guy he makes plays. He's athletic. He doesn't go down easy. As soon as he catches it, he's trying to make a move and just tries to extend the plays himself. So he's got heart. Coming as a free agent, the guy just he just wants the ball. He wants to make a contribution, and every time he gets a chance to touch it, so far he's done well with it.
Whenever the Steelers were stymied, it was because Ben was hitting the deck. The Bengals got to him 5 times. Dalton didn't get sacked once.
Well, and some of that too is Ben likes to hang on to the football. Ben thinks, I think every play he can make some kind of play happen. I think he thinks it's a schoolyard play, and he's just going to run around until some receiver gets open. So some of that is on Ben. He'll take the sack before he'll throw a football away a lot of times. But also, this is a broken record, but let's face facts. This front four is really, really good, and they also really good today without having Carlos Dunlap in there. So it shows you the depth of that front four group as well.
And really, really good at times when they needed to be on third down.
Yes.
Talk to me. In Baltimore, what's your prediction?
Obviously, I think it's going to be tough to win on the road, especially against an AFC North opponent being Baltimore. So I'm going to have to say it's going to be a very close game, I hope, and it'll probably end up being the Ravens, unfortunately.
Do the Bengals beat the Ravens?
I don't think so. With the injuries stacked up, it looks hard.
Yeah, well, it was going to be hard anyway, but you throw the injuries in there. If Leon Hall is out for an extended period of time, even though the schedule gets a little easier towards the back end of this, it's going to be awful tough.
Thanks so much, guys, for coming in on a Sunday night.